What's going on, costume and prop makers? So today, well, right now, I'm gonna do some painting on my shoulder armor. This is for my dragon armor, my dark dragon knight. I did this out of Worbla, and I had made these spikes out of the good old floor mat, EVA foam. So I just made the shapes, and then I took them to the sander and sanded them down, everything, so they got these nice spikes on there. And yeah, that's it. I've got a couple layers of Mod Podge, followed by a couple of layers, or a few layers of Plasti Dip. So I am going to give this an armor look now. It's going to be very similar to the helmet and the spear and of course the swords. And just so you know, if you haven't seen it, this is kind of what I'm building. It's more or less, I'm making some modifications to it to accommodate my larger build and be a little bit more realistic, because, you know, I'd like to be able to raise my shoulder over there and stuff like that. So yeah, this is it. There's the dragon head, and there's the piece that I've been working on. So I'm just going to let this record. Of course, I'll speed it up. It's going to be a lot of painting on this. There's a lot of detail work to do after I've got all the base coat. But the first things first, I'm going to get all the base armor on using the same, sorry about the finger, the same paint that I used for everything else is my base coat, which is the gunmetal. And I'm going to use upholstery foam to dab it on. And then I'll come back later and use the metallic to get all the little the highlights and everything. And then I'll come back also on this one with a black acrylic and, you know, fill in between the teeth and the sockets of the eyes, and, you know, just do some darkening work. And then once that's all done on this piece, I'll seal it with the floor wax, the Pledge floor wax. And then after that's dried, I'll actually come back and use the black again, watered down, and I'll wash the entire thing and then wipe most of that away, and that'll kind of give it a weathered look to it. So here we go. Let's just get right into painting. All right, so there's the first coat. You can see it's already really coming to life. This down here I'm not worried about, because I'm still going to cut all this and shape it. And normally I would do all that before I paint it. But, well, I've got nothing else to work on right now until I get some free time from the wifey to give me a hand. So I'm doing this anyway. I'm going to go over the whole suit anyway once I'm done with a touch-up anyway. So, and I'm probably going to build a separate piece that flanges down to come around a little bit onto the back and a little bit onto the chest from this piece. So we'll let that dry. All right, now we're going to come back and we're going to do the same thing, but much more carefully and much more sparingly with this very bright silver. And this is going to give us a lot more accent. And like I said, I want this to be much more sparing. And I'm really just going to hit very, very lightly. I don't want this to get all over this. I want it to hit like it was, you know, like it was real, so it was, the exposed edges have a lot more shine on them, and that gives a lot more depth to this. It gives a lot more dimension. it makes things pop a lot more. All the little, do the same to these blades. Same technique we used in doing the swords, but this first layer, I'm not using the chip brush. I'm doing this sponging technique. That's looking pretty awesome. Alright, now I'm going to come back in again with the bright silver, but this time I'm going to use my chip brush, and I'm just gonna pop these edges to kind of like the sword and stuff, so they have a little bit of like the lines of metal that you would see in a blade. So I'm just going to come in here and just pop the edges of this. Give it that depth. Alright. Alright, so now I'm going to come back in with this black, and I just want to really hit the eye socket between the teeth, a couple of these upper pieces. I really want those to set deeply inside. So I'm just going to hit them with some acrylic black. I'm just going to use my good paint brush to do this. So let's get to this. Don't need a lot. Alright, I think that's probably good. So there we go. Got the black outlined. This is going to dry, obviously. Much more defined now. So once this dries, I will come back with a coat of Mod Podge, or no, probably not. I'll probably do just a coat of a Future Floor Wax on it or something. Maybe Mod Podge, I haven't decided yet. But anyway, I'll come back and I'll hit it with that. And then I will do a dirt wash on it. And again, all that's going to be is taking the black paint that I have and thinning it down with water, wiping it on the whole thing. Once it's coated and protected, wipe it over the whole thing, and then wipe the watered paint, and then wipe most of it off, and that'll help fill in these little seams and stuff nicely. It'll kind of settle, and it'll just look much more natural. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. It's really not a long paint job. It's actually super quick, probably because I'm kind of getting this technique down. And this will sit, let me show you where this will sit on my armor. It'll be on my shoulder, kind of like that. So that's pretty much where it'll sit at, and it'll look cool.